We had our fair share of casualties brought about by the cold and damp. Even a seemingly immovable fixture like Superintendent Dunn had succumbed. He was at home in bed with a mustard poultice on his chest and his feet on a stone hot water bottle, under the watchful eye of Mrs. Dunn. His absence freed us from his demands to know what we were all doing, and why this or that criminal had not yet been brought to book. But it also slowed the making of decisions. This meant much day-to-day business fell to me. I did not mind, but I did wonder what would happen when Dunn returned, restored to vigour, and turned his eagle eye on everything I'd instigated in his absence. Another inspector and 3 constables were absent sick, adding to my load. Worryingly, stalwart Sergeant Morris, on whom I depended, was croaking like a bullfrog. He kept saying he was all right, but he didn't look it, and Constable Biddle had a cold. You might think that Biddle's cold was the least of my worries, but in reality it was not. It struck very close to home, because Biddle is walking out with our maid-of-all-work, Bessie. He had been discovered in our kitchen the previous evening, with his head over a bowl of steaming water laced with friar's balsam, and a towel over the lot. Standing over him was Bessie, and every time he threw back the towel and raised his scarlet, perspiring face to complain, she pushed his head down again and covered it over. His muffled cries attracted Lizzie, my wife, who came upon the scene. While sympathetic to Biddle's plight, she promptly banned him from the house until his cold was better. "Or we'll all have it," she said briskly. Bessie was distraught, but Lizzie unrelenting, pointing out that Biddle had a mother to take care of him. Bessie bridles at talk of Mrs. Biddle. There is some friction there. Mrs. Biddle claims Bessie wants to rob her of her only support, her son, and leave her all alone. "And me, with my knees," as she's wont to add. This was the situation when at 2 o'clock on a dark afternoon, and all gas mantles in the building already hissing, the officer on the downstairs desk was startled by an apparition which burst through the front door. The combination of a Scotch cap pulled down about his ears and a red muffler wound round his neck hid the visitor's face. Most strangely, he wore a shabby floor-length fur coat of considerable age. Billows of smoky moisture swirled around him. "I thought at first it was a performing bear on its hind paws and wearing a hat," said the desk officer later. "It gave me quite a turn." The newcomer unwound the muffler and declared, "I come to tell you about an horrid murder." Chapter 2. The visitor went on to declare that the body of a young woman had been discovered in the kitchen refuse bin kept in the yard behind the restaurant where he worked as a kitchen boy. All this was more than enough for the desk officer. The visitor was brought up to see me. Now we had all been joined in my cramped office by Morris and Biddle, who brought with him his cold, but also a notebook ready to take a statement. Divested of his motley outerwear, the informant proved to be about 16 or 17 years of age. He still wore his grubby apron. He was a stubby youth whose build suggested he made short work of any leftovers that came back from the dining room. I was surprised there was anything left to go in the refuse bin. His head only reached the middle button of my waistcoat, and with his generous girth gave the impression that, supported by his short legs, the rest of his body measured pretty much the same in all directions, like a dice. His name was Horace Worth. "It's not my fault, gents," said Horace, deeply aggrieved at being expelled from the warm kitchen on such an errand, and what he took as a lack of sympathy on our part. "I don't know why everyone's blaming me." "We're not blaming you, my lad," rumbled Morris. "Not unless this turns out to be a load of nonsense." "I didn't put her there. I didn't know she was there. If I'd known she was, I'd have stayed in the kitchen and not put my nose out of the door. I swear on a stack of Bibles I don't know how she got there. It's not my fault, is it? But first O'Brien goes hitting me over the head with a ladle." "Who's O'Brien?" "He's the cook. He's bad-tempered at the best of times. When I ran in and told him what a horrible shock I'd had, and it frightened the life out of me, you can believe that. Well, O'Brien, he hit me over the head with a ladle." The speaker rubbed his skull at the memory. "And then Mr. Bellini comes and he starts on me. He's the owner. Worst of all, she turns up, his wife. She's a dragon, that's what she is, a regular dragon. She keeps an eye on the money," he added confidingly. The fruit and veg merchants know her for the way she haggles over the...
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.